All right, time. Sorry about the delay. We were on having some technical difficulties, but I think we've got that taken care of right now. Getting Twitch to come up to speed, and we are on and working. Let me douse that audio real quick and make sure we don't get any feedback. That should just about do it, I think. All right, we are live. It is Thursday evening. It is quiet. Bit of a view from back around my home stomping territory around Kansas City. I'm from Topeka, originally Topeka, Kansas, but we do throw in occasionally some nice looking webcams out there just to kind of illuminate what's going on across portions of the United States. So nice view from the Country Club Plaza. Great place to be for a party on Thanksgiving night when they turn the lights on all over the plaza. So if you have a chance to take a look there. And back over toward the Nelson Atkins Museum over that direction, there's a great place in and around that area. I believe it's called Waldo's. It's a great restaurant. So if you want to give that a try, if you're ever in the Kansas City, Kansas area. I don't know if Penny Lane Records is still there way back up beyond the skyline. It'd be neat if they were. That was one great record store back there, so stop by and check that out. Just putting that up there for a nice view for this evening. It is Thursday night. I'm Chief Meteorologist Austen Onek. For those of you who are just tuning in and joining us on either Facebook or Twitch TV, and if you are tuning in, welcome to the show. Thanks for stopping by to take a look around. Again, for those of you on Twitch who are just joining us, we talk about weather here. We don't really talk about much of anything else involving huge amounts of anything. Trying to get these cameras set. I thought we had these taken care of. Excuse me for just 1 second. Sorry to blast in there in front of your camera. This is where we talk a lot about weather, what's going on in and around the News 12 viewing area. That's southeast Tennessee, north Georgia, northeast Alabama, and a small portion of western North Carolina. But if you have any questions about the weather, anything involving what we've been talking about online, science, astronomy, anything involving temperatures, we'll take a look at the tropics coming up here in just a little while, and we are talking about big development out there in the fact that we've got numerous areas of activity in both the Pacific and the Atlantic. So stay tuned. We'll talk about that. Hotter weather coming up into the weekend. A lot more in the way of potential heat coming our way for next week. So today was great. It's beautiful out there right now. If you haven't had a chance to go out and take a stroll, the air is dry. The temperatures are decently mild. It's almost clear out there, but it is a gorgeous night across much of the area. Looking back toward a beautiful sunset earlier on tonight from our Bailey's Heating and Air downtown Chattanooga EPB fiber optics WeatherCam network camera. Showing again a few clouds drifting on through the area, but really not seeing much more than that. No rainfall expected anytime soon. Good visibility on the CHI Memorial Stadium camera from the Tomahawk crane and rigging camera there. The lights on the towers out that direction, that's the extended area of Signal Mountain, so very good visibility looking across much of the area there. Taking a look from downtown once again from the News 12 studios on the veteran-owned Patriot Concrete Company camera from 3300 Broad Avenue, looking back over toward Ruby Falls and across the northern flank of Lookout Mountain. Decently quiet for now. Hope we have a little bit of sunset light left. Not much. A big spider from the area of Lee Point, Highway 153, and looking off to the west-northwest. Again, some good visibility reported there. The moon is at 5% visibility, so it was just barely visible through the clouds earlier tonight, but not by much. Island Cove Marina and Resort, looking back to the west-northwest. Beautiful sunset tonight. We'll try to get a time lapse on there and see what that looked like. Temperatures, it's beautiful out there. Humidity is a little higher than what it was earlier on, but otherwise it's not looking too bad for right now. It's been a gorgeous evening and will continue to be so overnight, with numbers back in the high 70s. And temperatures, again, not doing too bad for now. It's been a wonderful couple of days to get that break from the hot and humid temperatures, but unfortunately, we're going to be going right back into that in the course of the next couple of days. We'll talk about that in just a little while. We did manage to pick up, again, a pretty decent amount of rainfall over the last couple of days. That has come to a very big screeching halt as high pressure keeps things very much on the dry side. So we do see, again, a decent surplus for the month, and we're just behind for the year. That's not too bad, but chances of rainfall between now and, say, about Labor Day are going to be very hard to come by anytime soon. We do have a front moving through that may give us some clouds tomorrow morning, but beyond that, we're just not really seeing too much of anything anytime soon for rainfall. The extended forecast quite dry for right now. Black Creek, Lookout Valley on the northwest side of Chattanooga. I'm still learning my directions here. Grasa, I hope I'm saying that right. Pedro, thank you very much for those awesome colors, those shades of gray as storms roll past that particular area of the News 12 viewing area. Thank you very much for our West Shore home weather window picture of the day for Thursday. If you've got pictures that we can show everybody, please let us know. Drop into the comments section of our social media pages or just email them to us at pictures@wdef.com. We'd love to see what you're seeing out there and to give everybody else an idea as to what's going on. Hiking, fishing, whatever you've got going on for tomorrow. Some patchy fog, a little bit of it in the morning, and then warm and dry winds out of the northwest at about 5 to 10 miles per hour. Chasing the golf ball, avoiding the gopher, somebody called spackler. We'll be looking at mostly sunny, warm, and dry conditions tomorrow. Air temperatures should be in the mid, maybe a few upper 80s, and humidity levels are going to be low enough to where we're not going to see too much of any major problems with heat indexes for now. That's going to be changing into the course of the next few days out there. So looking at some very mild conditions for the time being, but may not stay that way. Coming up right at 10 o'clock Eastern Time, from the News 12 studios in downtown Chattanooga. Temperatures at the top of the hour, upper 60s to lower 70s. North Georgia, northeast Alabama, southeast Tennessee, and western North Carolina. That's our coverage area right there for those of you who are just tuning in. And some very pleasant conditions for right now. Dew point temperatures, the number of the temperature that if you cooled the temperatures down to these levels, that would be the temperature of the air completely saturated with moisture. So when the temperature and the dew point numbers are very close together, that's very humid. When you have temperatures, say like right now around 80 degrees and temperatures here back into the mid to lower 60s, the numbers are decently far apart. That's very dry, and that's what we saw earlier today in about the mid to upper 50 degree range on the dew points. But in the next few days, we're going to be heading over to the far side of this bar chart and looking at much more humid conditions coming through with numbers back in the lower 60s. For right now, comfortable, yes, no problems at all out there for the most part, but it will be more humid coming on through. So for the Food City certified Angus beef on the grill cast for the next few days, it'll be definitely increasing the humidity values out there, and numbers also on the increase. Grilling time, give or take about 7 o'clock in the evening for the next few nights. It will be definitely getting warmer out there through the weekend and next week. Yeah, definitely on the toasty side for the most part. Beautiful day today, a few clouds popping up, and we do have a front coming through, a cold front in name only. This thing is going to be heading through the area as we go into very early tomorrow morning. You can see the clouds rolling in ahead of that on the visible satellite picture, but you can also see chances of sprinkles up around the Ohio River Valley, and then heaviest activity in the way of showers or thunderstorms into the eastern Carolinas. This front advancing in our direction is going to be giving us the potential of some clouds, but it's not going to be giving us too much of a major problem for right now. We'll get back to the tropics and the Pacific here in just a little while. High pressure between our last front and the next one coming through, just a little bit to keep things very stable, but more high pressure coming in from the north. That's going to keep our temperatures, again, stabilizing them. It's doing a good job of pushing away the warm, moist air down to the south of us. So that's helping a little bit. But unfortunately for right now, the very hot weather, I should say, is going to be coming back in the next couple of days. We'll get back to the tropical Pacific here in just a little while. I want to focus in on what's going on here. There's our front coming through into tomorrow morning. So low temperatures tomorrow morning will not be that low, high 60s to around the lower 70s. High 80s for maximum temperatures early tomorrow afternoon. Pre-game for football, Friday night football coming up is going to be warm. We'll talk about that coming up in just a little bit as well. Pleasant start to Saturday, looking good with numbers in the high 50s to lower 60s. Right about the lower 90s for Saturday afternoon. Decent for early Sunday morning, mid to upper 60s, somewhere in there. And then going into Sunday, we'll be looking at temperatures again back in the lower to mid 90s, and just a few areas of thunderstorms. Let's get the temperatures back on there for you. Lower 90s into Sunday afternoon. Few speckles of clouds around the area, but not seeing anything anywhere close in the way of rainfall coming on through. Now, the Climate Prediction Center that issues the extended forecasts, this one, the medium range 6 to 10 day forecast, is showing that heat dome that's been sitting back to our west, moving our direction. It's been over the southwest United States, the Rockies, the Great Plains states, and now it looks like it's going to be kind of slowly making its way over the southeastern United States. That means we've got high pressure and calm conditions and hotter weather coming on through. We're looking at much above normal temperatures. Not record-breaking for right now, but again, that could be changing, so we'll watch that. But either way, not seeing anything in the way of cooler weather. Also, again, as we told you last night, we have done a pretty good job of turning off the spigot. We have little, if anything, in the way of rainfall anytime soon, and the medium range 6 to 10 day rainfall forecast from the Climate Prediction Center is showing little, if anything, coming our direction. So if you got gardens, if you got flowers, lawns and whatnot that you want to keep going, you're going to be seeing some pretty dry conditions into the next several days. So go ahead and plan ahead for that, just to be on the safe side there. Let's take a look at the 7-day forecast and again give you an idea as to what we're looking at. For right now, it's going to be mild for the most part into around Friday and Saturday. Upper 80s for both days, coming close to 90 for around Saturday afternoon. And then lower to mid 90s will be the rule. Lower to mid 90s, again, that's roughly about where we should be for this time of the year. Then mid to upper 90s coming on through all the way throughout the rest of the forecast. This is where we're seeing some exceptionally hot conditions coming through. Again, record-breaking would have to be in the triple digits, but this is just not the case for right now. Either way, after a certain point, hot is hot is hot, and that's what we're going to be looking for now. So mid to upper 90s. Plenty of sunshine, no chance of any rainfall coming our direction anytime soon. So it looks like for right now, that's about as good as it gets for the time being out there. All right, let's go ahead and take a look and see what's going on in the tropics. A lot has changed in the last 24 hours or so. Taking a look into the Gulf of Mexico, we've got a system just off into the Caribbean. This one is going to be moving into the Gulf, and the chances of this developing have risen a little bit, not by much. It was about 20% over the last 2 to 7 days. Now it's up to 30%. So as this goes over these very warm waters, this is where we see the potential of a disturbance developing. This is 4th out of 4 storms that we need to talk about here. If this does develop into something stronger and gets a little bit more cohesion and strength, it looks like it may be making its way up through Texas and around Oklahoma. So we don't see a lot of problems here with this one, especially for our area, as it looks like that big heat dome will be kind of channeling the system back to the west and then back up to the north. So this one does not appear to be causing a problem. That right there is the least of our concerns. This map got a lot busier in just the last couple of hours. We now have about 4 different systems to worry about, none of which at this time are actual areas of investigation, but a couple of them are coming close, especially this one, number 2, that just rolled in from off of the western African coast. This one stands at the highest possibility, a 70% chance of developing. Number 3, back to the west of that, but still well to our east. This one shows about a 50% chance of developing, and then 40 to 50% chance. It was 60%, now down to 50. All 3 of these are going basically in the same direction, the prevailing winds taking them out into the mid-Atlantic. The good news is that, again, off the Sahara, we've got a lot of dust and grit, and that acts as a filter to block out some of the sunshine, and that helps to not get as strong as storms going. The problem is when those storms don't form and release all that heat energy in the atmosphere and the ocean, that energy tends to build up. And that's what we're starting to see across the Atlantic, is that once we get into late August, we're getting there soon enough, and early September, any of these storms that form, these waves of energy that come in from off of Africa, move out over that very warm waters, and it could be like matches to gasoline, to where we could see some very powerful storms that get going very quickly. Hopefully they remain out over the Atlantic, as the nickname goes, as fish storms, not bothering anybody but the fish. So we'll see how well those do a good job of sticking around and monitoring them throughout the next few days. Once again, if you're planning on traveling to the Gulf, the Bahamas, Florida, the East Coast, now is the time to pay close attention to what is going on out there. All this information from the National Hurricane Center will change in the next several days, and the next few hours for that matter. So tomorrow morning, Chip Chapman should have some on the forecast coming up here, a little bit more on that one. Let's go take a look real quick at what's going on into and around the areas of the Pacific, because we also have a lot going on there. We have 3 storm systems. We have Greg passing south of the Hawaiian Islands. We've got Fernanda just a little bit off to the east and southeast of the Hawaiian Islands. And then back to close to the Mexican coastline in the far eastern Pacific, we've got Hillary. This is a fairly new storm system. It has developed very quickly over the very warm waters of the eastern Pacific, and right now, as of the latest update, it has reached Category 3 strength. Category 3 on the Saffir-Simpson 5-point scale. 3 is midway up, but with winds of over 115 miles per hour, Category 3 classifies that as a major hurricane. That's where the really powerful winds can cause problems. This is a life-threatening storm, so this is a bit of a problem. It's still off the coast, so again, the center of circulation well away from us. But watch what happens as we put this into motion. These spaghetti models, so named because they look like the strings of spaghetti on a plate, as multiple computer models give their offering as to what is going on. And you can see them expand outwards from there as we head up the coastline. It looks like it's going to be taking more of a northerly track in the next few days, which is going to put it just off Baja as we go into the weekend. More importantly, 2 things. Number one, we've got this category possibility of becoming, at some point in time by noon tomorrow, this could become a Category 4 hurricane. So it's getting stronger as we go up the coastline. It drops down to a 3 by Sunday midnight. Sunday noon or so Pacific time, it becomes a Category 2 storm. But then this system heads toward the southwest United States. And remember, it's not just this area right here, it's that whole system, several hundred miles wide. This could move a ton of rainfall into Southern California, the desert Southwest. This could be a major break in the drought and the heat out that direction. It also could cause, the biggest problem we're going to see is flash flooding from heavy rainfall. So here's the thing. If you're planning on heading to Phoenix, Tucson, San Diego, anywhere in the LA area, Southern California, from Needles back to Malibu, anything in that general area, you could be looking by the end of the weekend and early next week, some ugly, wet conditions out there. Could be looking at the possibility of seeing, again, some landslides, some flash flooding, a lot of traffic backups, a lot of airline delays, things like that. So if you're planning on heading anywhere to LA, anything after, say, early morning Saturday, when the storm is still well on down to the south, as that goes farther north, that's where we could see, again, that potential for looking at some problems as it gets closer up. Now, it's not going to hit as a hurricane. More than likely, if it holds together and if it is able to draw in enough moisture from the Pacific, maybe even off the Gulf of Baja, this could make landfall as a tropical storm. That hasn't happened in Los Angeles in over 80 years. So this is going to be interesting to see what happens with this particular storm as it gets closer. But for right now, it appears, again, just off the coastline and then moving up to around LA, into around Southern California. That's going to happen sometime Monday morning. Rush hour Monday morning, that is going to be very, very interesting to see what goes on out that direction. So That's a quick look at what's going on with the tropics. There's tons more happening, and lots going to be changing soon, so keep it tuned to News 12. We'll keep you updated on that. One more thing before we hop out of anything involving weather before we start wrapping things up. It's already 10:15. We've been on the air for quite some time here. Those wildfires out into the Pacific Northwest, and more importantly, what's coming down from parts of Canada where there are approximately 5 to 600, give or take, major wildfires that are completely and totally uncontained, spewing out smoke by hundreds of thousands of acres at one period of time. So from these fires up around Idaho, Washington State, back into around British Columbia, Montana, and Oregon, some of this smoke looks like it might start heading down our direction, and there appears to be a pretty good chance that some of this, by about Saturday afternoon, will be in the News 12 viewing area. So we may be seeing the possibility of more gray skies coming back our direction. This right here is smoke that, as it says, vertically integrated. So that's smoke that is way high up in the atmosphere, way up above where the surface is. Now, if we had surface smoke showing this for right now, and we might, I'm waiting for the update on that. So for right now, we could see a lot of gray skies. Whether or not we get some reduced air quality, that also is going to be a kind of wait and see type situation, but we will monitor that as we go into the rest of the next couple of days. Either way, if this pans out, by the weekend, we could be seeing the potential of maybe some gray skies out there, and maybe that taste of wildfire smoke and that smell in the atmosphere out across portions of the area. So we'll see how that goes, and then there's tons more fires going on, so we could still see the possibility of more smoke coming our way before the summer is out. According to some of the Canadian wildfire officials, the only thing that's going to stop this many fires is going to be the reappearance of winter. So we've got several more weeks, possibly several more months, before we see an end to a lot of these wildfires out there, and that means we could still see smoke all the way down this direction, several thousand miles away from their ignition point. So that could be a bit of an issue taking place out there. At least for the almanac, we do see just about a month or so until the countdown to autumn is finally here. Autumn, the autumnal equinox, begins September 23rd. So we've got just over a month or so before we get into that change of seasons. Whether or not it gets cool or not, that's another issue entirely. So difficult to say if we're going to get to any cooler weather. That would be nice, but I don't see that happening anytime soon for right now. So not exactly good news all the way around. Friday night football is coming up tomorrow. Brian Armstrong and Nick Hill will be out at a local game. So if you'd like to see more about what's going on in local football, definitely want to stop by News 12 tomorrow evening. The Food City Friday night football touchdown tailgate forecast will be showing a pretty warm start to the game. Pre-game, sunshine, plenty of that, very toasty. Kickoff temperatures as the sun goes down in the mid-80s and then going into the mid-70s as we go toward halftime. So it's going to be shirt-sleeve weather, to say the least. Warm and kind of humid as the sun goes down, but should be looking at mostly clear skies, so not a major concern, and no sign of any rainfall coming up anytime soon all the way on through. For tomorrow morning on the Greater Chattanooga Orthodontics bus stop forecast for Friday, a little bit of patchy fog tomorrow, mid-60s for lows, and then by the time the kids head home from school, it'll be mild. Temperatures back in the lower, mainly the mid-80s or so, so we'll be dropping the temperatures a little bit after that into the evening, but otherwise not seeing, again, a great opportunity for any cooler weather coming on through, at least for the time being there. If you're a teacher, speaking of school, if you're a teacher or an administrator and would like to have our weather experts talk to your classes about science, about meteorology, about how cool stuff like this is, request a visit from us by going to the Food City Weather in the Classroom page at wdef.com/weather and click on Weather in the Classroom for more. We don't just show up. We have to be invited. We don't want to show up and ruin a teacher's schedule and curriculum by saying, hey, we're here to talk weather. We don't do that. So you have to invite us. So when you do, give us contact information, some possible days and times that would work with your schedule. We'll cross-connect from there. What grade level are your students? Our high school presentation is different than our kindergarten presentation, so we like to know what we're walking into. Grade level expectations, if there's any special topics you would like us to talk about, please say so. We can tackle different things like cold fronts, warm fronts, cyclones, any information about that, so that that vocabulary can go into your teaching lesson, so that you can say that you covered that with the guest that comes in to talk about meteorology. So head to the Food City Weather in the Classroom program. We'd love to be able to see what we can talk about, and just give us a buzz and we'll see what we can do. One, again, caveat here, that if you haven't done it yet, do so soon, because if you don't, if the spaces and times that we have available will fill up very quickly, and there's only a limited amount of time each one of us can do every single year. And if we don't get to you this semester because you waited too long, we may have to do it in the spring semester. That's the way these work, unfortunately. So please let us know. Go to the website, fill it out, give us an idea as to what you're looking at for time frame and subject matter, and we'll cross-connect with you and see what we've got going on. That should do it for tonight. Thanks to everybody who poked their nose in for a little bit, a couple of people on Twitch and a couple of people on Facebook again. Glad to have you stop by. Ask questions if you want to, see what's going on. I'll have more on the forecast tonight on News at 11, and Chip Chapman will have more on his weekend forecast coming up on the morning show starting at 5 a.m. Eastern Friday morning, so stay tuned for more on that. As always, you can pick up the forecast available at wdef.com/weather for more details as to what's going on out there. And as per usual, you can find me all over social media, so look around. I'm out there someplace. More on your forecast again tonight at 11, Chip tomorrow morning. Stay tuned for more. I'm Chief Meteorologist Austen Onek. Thank you very much for watching Thursday night's Weather Overtime from the News 12 studios in downtown Chattanooga, Tennessee. We'll have more for you coming up later, so stay tuned for more, and we'll see you again on Friday. Thanks for joining us.